Hi everyone, sorry, I'm just putting my dies back on my my magnetic sheets before I start. Oh, and I better mute myself. Oh no. Sorry, Facebook wouldn't let me go live as I would normally do because I created an event, or Charmaine created the event for me. It just wouldn't let me. Oh, never mind. I'm here now. Right, let's just go and put these back on so I don't lose them. Right, so that's, and I will get started. I'm being really good and putting everything back. Hello, how is everyone? So as I said, I'm just putting my dies on my sheet because I had them out a minute ago, just double checking everything. Okay. And I can then start playing. Well, not start playing, but you know, I can explain a little bit more about what I hope to do. I haven't positioned them very well, but they'll do for now. Right, okay, let's put you guys there. How is everyone? Sorry, I'm a little bit late. As I said, I was struggling to get on. Never mind, getting there eventually. Hi, Alison. Hi, Joe. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Sue. Hi, Sonia. How are you? How is everyone? Sorry, well, let's move my coffee because you don't really need to see that, do you? I'm going to have a quick slurp. Oh, yummy. Right, I'm in absence. Well, I'm in lieu of Charmaine. And I'm going to be explaining a little bit about the new Ultimi dies that Dolly Dimples are going to be bringing out. And there's 4 die sets. So what I thought I'd do is go through the die sets and then show you what I've been creating with them first. And then I've got, well, fingers crossed, I've got 3 demos prepped. Well, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. Right, so we've got 4 die sets. Now, I've labelled some of mine up, some of mine I haven't yet. Right, I'm going to go through them individually. So we've got Frame It, and there's 4 dies in this set. And you've got, look at me picking bits out. You've got this frame here. You've got the circular one, which creates a frame or makes a fantastic background. Don't forget, in the Frame It, you get this, if I move that out the way, this portion as well, which creates panels. You get this little die, which creates patterns within your card. So it cuts out those patterns within your card. And then you get this really, 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 really cute little heart. And the heart is hinged there. So that means you can make little doors. Okay, so that's Frame It. And then we've got Pretty Flowers. So in Pretty Flowers, you've got technically 4 layering circles. I'm going to use the word circles-ish because they create pretty flowers or funky flowers. You get a daisy style flower and you get like a pinwheel style flower. You get this really uber cool background. And if you've previously got one of the Ultimi dies, you'll see there's a slightly bigger version of this. So the 2 will work superbly together. You've also got this die here, and this die again will actually cut into your background, so it'll make little flowers and little dots and dashes. And I've got a background already done to show you, so it'll make all of those as well. So that's Pretty Flowers. We're going to move over here. Now this one is called Paper Leaves, and obviously it's about leaves. So you've got 3 what I would call classic leaf shapes, and then you've got a leaf vine. Now this one here could be a daisy shape, or if you think at the bottom of a flower, if you're making a 3D flower, that could be a leaf shape, or it could be an actual flower in its own right. Okay, so you've got like a layering set of those. So you've got a large one, a medium one, and a small one. And then you've got this one here, which could be the starting point for a flower. So I could take this one, I've got some demos to show you, and I can start layering these on, and this could be the center point for the actual flower to go on. Okay, or you can use them as is. They could be balloons, you know, anything you want them to be. And then you've got this one here, which creates like a hyacinth. I couldn't think of like a buddleia sort of shaped flower. So that one's Paper Leaves. And finally, we've got ribbon tags. So you've got 3 layering tags. that sit inside each other from the largest to the smallest. You've got a border. You've got this one here, which actually makes a starting point to make some really, really cool flowers. You've got a smaller version of the, like the buddleia, like I was saying there. And then you've got these 3 dies. Now these 3 dies do not cut all the way down to the bottom. So basically when you cut them out, you can create then, cut away the aperture around it, and you can create layers upon layers upon layers of standing flowers. So you get 3 different sizes, let's turn you that way, of those. So you've got a taller one, a smaller one, a medium one, and a smaller one. But they also can be used in lots of different ways, which I want to show you. Now this buddleia type one, all in all there's 3. So you get the larger one, you get this one on ribbon frames, and then if I go, I've lost one, there's a tinier little one as well. Oh, it's on the windowsill somewhere. There it is, paper leaves. You get a smaller one as well. So you get 3 different sizes of the same version. So let's just put them to one side. Right, I have had an absolute blast playing with these. So if you don't, before I start doing demos, I'm just going to show you some of the things I've created with them, because I appreciate for dies, or dies that don't look obvious, that sometimes it can be quite scary to see what things are and not. And like I said, I've had a really cool time. So this one here, I've created a tag. I'm going to lift it up. I don't want to bring the camera down because just in case I wanted to bring my die cutting in. So this one here, I've created a tag. So on from the frame it, I've used the circles, and then I've used the actual background from Pretty Flowers, and I've also used the Pretty Flowers in there. But I've used that die in the centre of the flower there that cuts in. So now I've got that pattern going there. And then I've got the large daisy die, which I've just cut in half. And I've added some borders there. I've got my banner as well going along the bottom there. So you can suddenly, you know, if you're into your mixed media or you want to create other different projects, you've got that style of project to do. Then I've gone quite clean, simple and contemporary. So this one here, I'm going to put my hand behind so you can see. So this is a vellum frame. So I've cut the frame out, and I've cut it twice, and I've given it a drop shadow, and then I've just put it back inside the aperture of my card blank and just put a piece of vellum in to hold it in place. And then using like the die that looks like the buddleia, I've cut that twice, and then I've used the tiny little flowers that you get from the paper leaves set and put them on the top with gems. Or these are the centres from the for these blue ones there are the little flowers that come out of the centre part of this die here that I've layered on the top. And then I've obviously used the daisy again, but I've added different layers on there, and then I've used the leaves, you know, so you can use them in lots of different ways. I've then, using the paper leaves and just using the leaves, I've cut them all from lots of different colours and layered them up. This is going to be one of the demos, how I did the background layers. So I've just cut them from yellows and oranges, a splash of green on there, and a sentiment, a few gems, and, you know, a quick contemporary card, which, when you consider that there in the white, is the same leaf as that one there. So just by changing the colour, you can actually change the way they look, if that makes sense. And then this one, I decided I'd go a little bit wilder. I historically cut from white and then I colour up. So what I did was I took the frames. So where I've got this frame here, I've got this frame. So what I've done is I've taken the frames, and where I've got the overlap bits, I've joined them on top of each other. So now I've got 3 frames in a row that look like they're all joined together. So you don't have to use it singly. You can actually just snip away and you've got 3 frames in a row. And then I think I've used a mix of absolutely everything together. And I've created a rainbow card. Now on the ribbon tags, we've got this die here. Okay, so in the centre, I've cut it. But I've used around the centre parts there, this is the flower die that actually cuts in. So I just cut it away and put it over the top here and created another type of flower. So you can, as the name suggests, they're alter-me dies. So you can use them as is, or you can alter them to create some really cool shapes, but not too scary shapes either. And then I've just added in lots of other little embellishments, and like tiny little white flowers you see is the waste from that die that cuts into the centre. And if I show you up here, what I did was I cut this part out and I've actually stenciled through it. So I've actually used it then as a stencil to go through, but I kept the white bits that came out just to use as my, why bin them, added embellishment. Right, so then I've gone to, I need to stick that gem down, I've just knocked it off. So this now is cutting it from coloured card. And I've taken the larger circle from Pretty Flowers. Right, let's move you guys. So what I've done is I've used those two dies together and I've created myself a frame. And then once I've stuck the frame down to coloured card, I've used the die there with the daisies and then just die cut inside. The banners on top and a couple of flowers, and then this is the heart that I've actually just cut away the hinge. So you can create quick flat cards with them as well as more dimensional cards. Joe, I've had an absolute blast with them, sort of thing, and trying to create as many different things. And then going totally the opposite way. So this one's a little prettier. So I've cut the frame 2 or 3 times, and in the centerpiece that comes away, I've die cut the heart. So the little heart there goes on the hinge. So when you open it up, so you then can see the layers there. And where I've cut this 3 times, I've kept these parts and I've just subtly inked around them and stuck them down. So it just makes my design elongate. But then I've used the circles from the frame it, and I've used that as a stencil to go round to create the actual background. And then it's just a few simple flowers. So you can use those sort of flowers. So where's that bright one? So when you consider that, or if I try and hold them, those flowers there are the same as those flowers there. So this is what I mean by alter it. It can actually be, depending on what your style of crafting is, what your colours, what everything is, you suddenly can change it and alter them to fit your style of crafting. And that's what's so cool about them. So we've got that one there. And I like to cut in white and use my inks. That's just me, because then I can choose the colour of my project. And I know everything coordinates. I know I'm a bit weird that way. But taking that there, changing it, I've done exactly the same sort of thing, but I've cut the frame from glitter card. I've then in the centre panel cut the one that cuts away, but I've hinged the door right open. But I've used the larger type, like hyacinths sort of plant. And then I've just added the greenery in. So exactly the same idea, but just by changing the colours, whether you use ink, this is all from coloured card, or you use ink, they cross over to whatever style, you know, that suits you. And I think that's perfect, you know, about them. So we've got that there. And then I thought, well, I've got to have a go. So this background is the waste that's left from cutting the frame. So all I've done is I've taken my oxides and I've inked a background. I've taken this die here, as you can see, and I've taken this die here. And what I've done is I've cut it, as you can see, in the black, and then I've cut it again in black, and using a mixture of oxides and gold pen, I've then created a skirt to go on top of that die. So you can, you know, you can go white, bold, but I wanted to try and use as many different colours as I possibly could. If we all inked white card, we wouldn't have rooms full of coloured cards. Kay, you can ask Charmaine. I don't have that much coloured card. I really don't. Very bizarre, I know. So, you know, it was just to show a different way of using them. And then again, using the flower one from ribbon tag. So this one here, again, I've taken it and I've layered them up, but I've used these little leaves on the top of the flowers, a little gem in place, and then that is now my big spray. And then I've used, you can see the circle frame there from the Frame It. I use that to create my background, but then it's also coloured at the same time. So the frame now matches the same colour as my background. So they can all layer on top of each other. I hope that makes sense. So you've got that one there. And then, again, this is from Coloured Card. This is using the frame. And all I've done is use, you get the other die from the Frame It set is the circles. And I've cut a background with the circles and I put a piece of coloured card behind it. So you can see the colour come through. Used the daisy and layered them up. And then the leaves you see here are actually from the, where are they? They're actually this here. So rather than use this like a flower, I've actually coloured it and I've then cut them up and I've used them so they become like leaves. And the same with this here. Instead of using it like a hyacinth, a buddleia type flower, I've coloured it so it becomes leaves. And then suddenly, you know, it changes the look again just by changing your colours. If that makes sense. I'm using up my bits of cream, white and black for me. So we've got that one there. And then finally, I wanted to do something with like a little bit of a memory book. So I've just taken concertina piece of card, as you can see, joined it together. So an A4 piece of card, cut in half, joining strip together, piece of black. I haven't decorated the covers. And then I've created like a memory book, concertina memory book. So I've used the, oh, let's get them out. So they're all sticking to each other. So I've used this one to create my outer edge, as you can see. This one is the white where you would technically put your photograph. And then the daisy one I've cut and I've just put behind. So now it layers it all up differently. And then the one that we've got from, you know, oh, let's turn you around, from the ribbon tags, that one again, I've just cut it up and layered it and to make it look like a little bit of flowers. I've taken the ribbon tags, and because I've drawn some little lines on, it gives the impression is that, you know, that's where you journal. And I've just repeated it and just made it similar but slightly different. But in the background, I've got the large Frame It die. So it's now being the frame for all of these. So this would be like a little memory book. I've just wasted so much time trying to find 4 photographs that I gave up. So if I can, I will before. But that was just some of the ideas I've had, you know, just playing with the dies over the last 24 hours. And if I had more time, you know, I'd probably find something else. I just love how you use different uses for each of the dies to make them so multi-purpose. Oh, thank you, Jo. I mean, all the photographs and everything like that, they will be uploaded to the website. So I know it's exclusive to Create and Craft for 24 hours, but you can still go on the Dolly Dimples website and slowly, under each of the listings, you will find there'll be inspirational photographs. That's the same for all Dolly Dimples products. So the website's trying to get more up to date. So you will find all of our inspiration once we can, you know, get it photographed and on there. So that's just some of my ideas that I've thought, you know, going from wild and wacky to a little bit more traditional, and hence the name. Alter Me, you know, you alter it to suit your crafting style or the mood you're in that day, if that makes sense. So right, I'm going to put them away and then we're going to do some demos. I colour my cardstock, but I'm not keen on white or black. See, Joan, I do. I always cut in white 9 times out of 10, or cream, and colour, just in case I know then what I've got the inks there to make things match. I'm not going to lose that gem because I need to stick it back on. I'm just going to put it on my windowsill. Right, I'm just going to put these back in the bag. Does anyone have any questions so far or anything like that? Yeah, Jo, all the for all the launches for Dolly Dimples, like the recent launch for the Sisters of Serenity, all the cards that the creative teams have done should be underneath the listings. Right, so I'm just going to put my dies to one side because I have die cut most things because I wanted to do a mixture of different ideas, and the only way I could have time to do that is by prepping in advance. But I will try and explain what dies I've done. But I have got my die cutting machine on the side here waiting just in case. Right, okay, what should we start with first? Let's start with a card. Right, so I've got a square card. My preference, but it is my preference, is I always do mine so they're a tenfold and hinge at the top. Everyone's different, if that makes sense. And I've just got my mats and layers here like that. So I just want to get out some ink at the moment, and I just want to add a little bit of colour to my backgrounds. So I'm going to use oxides because oxides create, they stand out a little bit more. Let's go for yellow, and I'm really into at the moment the abandoned coral. I'm trying to step away from the orange all the time because I do love the orange, I must admit. And I want to go for, no, don't want that. I do actually. I want a little bit of vintage photo. Ooh, I'm not sure there. I like it both though. I'm really into frayed burlap. I'm trying to stop using that so much. And I want to grab a little bit of twisted citron and some peel paint. And I just want to do a little bit of my background here. So these are going to be my matte layers. So we'll stick them down so they're dry at least when we've got there. Now the dies are DL in size. So, and they come with the little joining pips, but they come apart really, 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 really easy. I just twist them slightly. So I didn't want to give the illusion that they were like 6x6 dies. They're not. It's just that I've just put them on 6x6 magnetic sheets because that fits in the storage I've got. So I've just got to go. I want to put that like that, and we might as well stick this layer down as well, and then we'll do the background. But I had to really go through my cupboards like nobody's business to try and find colour card. I did find a load actually in the end, which did surprise me. So I'm just creating some simple matte and layers with the colours there. I'm trying to use in the demonstrations as many different colourways with the dies because I appreciate that everybody has, you know, colour preferences about what they want to do and what they, you know, what they want to use and what they don't want to use. So let's stick you down and put you to one side to dry. Now I have, like I said, die cut lots and lots of different pieces. And what I want to do is I'm going to use one of the smaller pieces, and I just want to add a little bit of background. Sorry, there's a little tiny die cut in there. And it wouldn't really have made much difference, but you know, when you just go, I'm going to do it. Now, I'm using the die cut because, obviously, I want to show off the dies. This could easily be done using a stencil. So you don't have to do what I'm doing with the dies, if that makes sense. And all I want to do is I want to create just a tiny little bit of a background using the actual die cut itself, and I'm using a little bit of peel paint. If you cut from white, your die cuts from white and you're doing this, then what happens is your die cut then matches your background. Okay, so we're just going to go around a little bit more. If you're worried about it moving, just put a tiny little bit of repositional tape. I'm just going to do a little bit more there. I quite got into at the moment, I don't know why, of like having a little corner free. I'm not sure why, but I'd have. And then I just want to bring in a little bit of the twisted citron. I just want to knock back a little bit of the peel paint. And using the same one, I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of the twisted citron through. So the twisted citron is the fainter of the two, so it's going to be very faint. but I just want to build up a little bit of texture in the background that's then going to match with all the embellishments I've got. So just do a little bit more that way. Right, so that now is a really, really quick background. Move you out of the way. Just using that tiny little die. I'll lift it up so you can see. So just using that tiny little die, you can create quite a big background, and, you know, from something quite so small. Right, so we've got that going there. What I want to do is, now I'm going to keep the brown, but I could have coloured all of these to match in, but I actually quite like the contrast of the brown. I will use this one. I'm just going to stick a few of those down. I couldn't find my glue pad, so I'm just going to use the back of my hand. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but for speed, I am, sort of thing. So, and I just want to build up a quick background. So like I said, I've die cut all of these ahead of time. Not because, you know, I could have sat here and cut them all out, but I just thought then I can show lots of different ways of using it rather than just the one, if that makes sense. So how has everybody's Sunday been? We've had a little bit of a mishmash day. We decided we'd have to have a fry up today. So that was the obligatory. Right, let's have a think. So I'm just going to lay it, and don't worry if you go over each other there, it doesn't really matter at all. So I might use this one, I might not. So I've got that going there. Now, what I have done, I haven't glued it down, was I've taken the same backing card and I've cut both a white layer and a green layer together, and I'm going to stick them down. Now, the reason I cut them together was, you know, when it comes to sticking them down, it'd be easier to do. I didn't want to stick because I was prepping it all, I didn't want to stick the card down and then try and die cut and it squidges everywhere. So I find if I die cut the two things together, keep them together, I can then join them and make sure all the pieces match up just a little bit easier. That's just for me. It's because this is a paper rather than a card, so I'm just sticking the paper onto the card. Okay. So I've just created myself another frame, because you don't have to use the layers. I mean, I've got those two pieces left. I don't have to use them as is. I could put that straight the way back in there if I wanted to, or a different colour, and you create a different, but I wanted to make a frame with it. So I'm just going to put that, I'm just going to put a tiniest little bit of glue, because I might change my mind where it goes. So if I just put a little bit of glue just to tack it in place. I'm going to put the lid on my glue because it is really quite humid here and I don't want it to dry. I've been creosote. Ooh, hey, that is painful. The smell is awful as well. Samples. Oh, roast for the first time in ages. Oh, Noreen, it sounds sad, but it does sound lovely in another way as well. Going visiting old memories does sound really. We did that not so long ago with my stepmum, but I know what you mean. Right, I've got the daisies here, and what I want to do is I want to colour these up, and I'm going to go for traditional white and yellow, and I might bring in a little bit of the abandoned coral. And all I'm going to do is I just want to start with a little bit of yellow. Not all the way to the edge. I'm going to do the same for each of them. So we've got that one there. Obviously, you could easily cut this in white and then you could cut it in a yellow card and layer on top. Go with how you die cut. We're all, you know, completely different. And then I've got the centres. So these are the other circles that come with it. So where is it? So for the green frame, I've used those two. And then I've used this one for this part here. And then the smaller one for this part here to create the flower I want to create. If that makes sense. It doesn't smell as... Ooh. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Oh, it used to burn, the old creosote as well. Take the skin off you. So, there we go. I'm just going to put that in there. Now, the more ink I put down, obviously, the brighter they will be. Got that one. And let's do them the right way. And we've got that one. Okay, so let's move you guys. And then I just want to grab a little bit of the abandoned coral. And that's not that one, it's that one. And I just want to go around with the abandoned coral. So we've got that going in there. And let's do another one. So these could be blues, purples. Something has gone over my camera. Oh. Has that bit gone? It's my light fell and I didn't notice. Right, so all I'm doing is just taking the abandoned coral. Yeah, my light's just fallen, that's all. It's because I put my coffee on top of it, it didn't like it. Right, so we've got those there, and I want to do exactly the same with these. And we'll just do these little ones here. And go one more. So it doesn't, you know, doesn't have to take long. Right, let's just move you guys. I'm just going to move this out of the way, and I'm just going to give this a quick spritz of water just to clean it up. I'm just going to do my fingers at the same time because it's oxide. If I wasn't on a live, this would be, I'd be doing this and going into a journal. But I'm going to try and keep a white card white-ish. I sound optimistic, don't I? Right, so I've got my panel there, and I've got my little bit of glue. And what I want to do is I want to start layering up the flowers. And I'm going to grab, like I said, apologies, I am on the last packet of these 5,500 foam pads. Finally. So here we go. I just want to put the centre on there. So now when I put the centre like that and take it from the different die cut, so that's the die as it is, and it looks cool with just the centre, and then we'll add that bit there. I mean, I could just left it like that and just put the little bit on top. You could take your shaping tools and make it all go up. You could cut it multiple times and overlay, so I could cut this multiple times and then overlay and overlay and overlay and lift them up, and suddenly I've got a really, really 3D sort of flower. You should have used them as a giveaway. I think I missed, oh, the 3D foam pads. I was determined, Kay. I was so cross with myself. What it was, again, it's, you know, like the measure twice, cut once analogy. I wanted 5. I wanted to get the big square pads so I could cut them down as and when, and I thought they were 5 centimetre. They weren't. They were 5 millimetre. So hey ho. But I'm getting there to the last bit. So I apologise, but the pain of watching me do multiple foam pads will soon be over. Right, so I've got that going there. And I just want to start putting this on here. So I'm going to put, so this panel now, that's why I wanted to do that little subtle green border around the edge, will actually now sit amongst there. So we've got a little subtle border. So the white's there, but it doesn't stand out quite as much. So we'll just stick that down. I could layer it up with 3D foam pads. But I think that as I've got 2 or 3 mats and layers going on, I don't think it needs foam pads as well. Each their own. So I'm just going to put that there. So then I've got like the daisy-like flowers. So this is going to go, and I'm going to start building this up. So I'm now going to come over the edge just a little bit, but I've still got that lovely border of the die cuts peeking through where I created that background. So I'm just going to stick that one there. And I've used the ribbon tags, and what I want to do is I want to have a ribbon tag going along, and I've used the smaller white part as well, as you can see. And I'm going to have it so it could matching colour so it tucks in. I haven't chosen a sentiment yet. I'm dreadful. I have to live with a project for a while and then decide what the sentiment is going to be. And that's sometimes when I'm making samples for old telebox, I find really hard because I have to think of a sentiment 9 times out of 10. Whereas sometimes I like to live with it, if that makes sense. When I comment, it boots me out. Oh, it was doing to me that the other day, Charmaine, it was doing that to me. Right, so I've got that there. So this tag is going to just sit like that. So I'm just going to put 1 or 2 on of the foam pads, but I will put more on after the live. Okay, so I just want to have that so it's tucked a little bit in there. So before I stick it down, I want to put it in. So it's going in and amongst and around the flowers. And then I've got my third one, which will sit lower down. So that's fine. So we've got that going over there. And then I can put the white layer. So I've just got the white layer is going to sit in there. And then this one I'm going to just put on 3D foam pads, just because I want to raise it just a little bit higher. And as I said, I haven't thought of a sentiment, but I'll show you what I was hoping to do with the sentiment. So now this one is just going to sit like this. And all the white tag is doing is giving me a place to put my sentiment. Now I've got these little bits here, and I want to just add them, just to add a little bit of extra. Now I could raise them up, or we could put them flat. I'll tell you what, why I want to use all these foam pads out. Sorry, Charmaine. I'm going to use foam pads on some of them. So I'm just going to just move it so we could lift these up a bit. So we've got that one there. This one I'm actually going to stick down flat. So we're going to have some flat and some raised. So that's going to sit there. And we'll have this one raised. So we've got that there. And that can sit there raised like that. So let me just move the glue out the way and clean these up. So if I grab, and I wouldn't use this sentiment per se, but I just want to show you why I've put the white tag there. So now when I put my sentiment, which I would stamp out and put along there, I'm using the banners as the placement point for where I actually want to put my sentiment. So my sentiment will go across there. And then you could put glossy accents in the centre there. You could put gems. You could put sequins. But it's a quick way to create a card, change the colours, and the vibe of it changes totally each time. So that was just to give everybody an idea. I mean, I would still keep this because I could still use it, you know, in another project all along the way. I mean, I couldn't make up my mind whether I wanted 2 white banners, so I cut a white banner as well. And I will keep these, obviously, in my die cut panel. So that was just a first idea. As I said, I'll have to think of a sentiment that I want to put on there that I think goes with the card. I hope that makes, yeah? Is that okay with everyone to start with? So that's just that card. And as I said, I make 10-fold. So it would be a 10-fold card. Okay? So let's just put you somewhere safe. Let's put you behind. Right, let's move you. Now, the next one, I wanted to do something totally different with. So, I need to just grab some bits. And I've got all my bits ready. And I'll explain what I've done. And I just want, this is a new canvas. And I keep all those wooden bits. I won't put them in just yet. Put them out of the way. And I wanted to create a quick canvas, not just a card. Now, I'm not going to do a full detailed background on this. I will do it afterwards properly. But I wanted to create a canvas with the dies and create something really dimensional, if that makes sense. Right, I'm going to have a quick slurp of coffee before I start. And then we'll get going. Oh, excuse me. And what I want to grab is, where are they? Here we go. And I'm just going to grab the stencil. And I thought I got it out and then I didn't. I changed my mind about which one I actually wanted. Where is it? I think I've gone past it. Oh, I have, there it is. Look, I have gone straight past it. So this is number 26, which is Square Maze. Got there. I keep mine. I haven't made a book yet for mine, but this is using the dies. So when you get this, if you've got the journal kits that Charmaine brings, the stencils fit in that absolutely perfectly. I've just got to make mine into a proper book. And I wanted to use a little bit of this. And I want to grab... Oh! I've got my distress sprays out. And I want to go really quite light. Where's my gone? Where's the sponge sugar gone? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to use a mixture of oxides and sprays. Now you could easily use your inks, but I just wanted to show that die cut that you've got also work with some of the stencils that might be around. So I'm just going to quickly create a quick background, and I am going to clean that off because I can't waste that. Where's a journal? Where's a journal? Oh, a piece of card will have to do for now. I might just move you out the way. I can't waste that, sorry. I can't waste that. Here we go. Right, so I can keep that there. And then I just want to use the same stencil. I'm just doing a really subtle background. I've got some picket fence just in case. And I'm going to use a stain now. And I just want to have some pop of colour with the stain. Right, so I'm just going to grab the same, but stick it down. Right, I'm just going to put that underneath. And I'll let that soak in. And that's all I want to do for my background. I'm just going to put my sprays back. I want to keep the background quite simple. I can build up on it, but I just wanted to do a nice subtle background for what's happening next, sort of thing. Right, I'm going to give it a quick blast. Shouldn't take long because I haven't put loads down. Sprays don't have to be messy if you don't want them to be. They can be, obviously. Yeah, heat up. And I just want a nice, really subtle background. I could ink a little bit more around the edge. I could have put, you know, some extra texture on top. What would look good, actually, and I wish I hadn't die cut it, is if I could die cut the circles. I might see if I can squeeze them in. So let's just do from the back. There we go. Right. Come on, you. Just that last stubborn bit. You can put your distresses and your oxide to work together. I just prefer to do the oxide part first and then the distress or the stain on top. It's just personal preference. Right, let's just put that there. All right, so that's going to be my background. Now what I've done is I have die cut lots of elements. Let's move you out of the way. And I've taken the paper leaves set and I've literally cut these three out multiple times, as you can see, in lots of different colours of card. But then I wanted to create a background layer. So all I've done is I've taken whatever card I want to use and the various dies. You can do this freehand if you prefer. If not, if you use your die and just roughly draw around. And if you can, try and cut slightly inside your pencil. The only reason I say that, it saves you having to rub your pencil out. Just a lazy tip, really. Nothing else other than it's a lazy tip. So we've got that there. Let's move the card. So now I've got a backing layer for that actual die cut. And then all I did was take the die cut itself and just stuck it into one part. So I've created the same shape. And I've done that using different colours as I went along. So you can, even though you've got an open shape like that, you can quickly create your own matte layer, if that makes sense. Yeah. So let's just move the dies and bring this in. As I said, I'm keeping this quite simple. And what I want to do is I want to start building these up in a pattern. And I'm just going to use, and I appreciate their leaves, but suddenly when you cut them and cut in from lots of different colours, they take on a completely different look. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm roughly working out where I'm going to do. And because this is a canvas, doesn't matter if I go, I'm just going to use a pin and go through all my layers. Just while I work out what and where I want to place everything. Okay. So then I've got these ones here. And I just want to add these ones on. And I'm just going to place them so they go a little bit like so. Okay. And we're just going to build it up like that. So that's going to be my rough pattern about how I want things to go. So I'm just going to put a pin in place. Because like I said, it's a canvas. So I can go all the way through and just keeps them in place. And because I'm going to end up covering this, it won't matter that there's a hole in the canvas afterwards. They do look like feathers. Yeah, Noreen. That wasn't the plan in my head, but we'll see. You know, you go. So I've got that roughly there where the hole is, so I know where I'm going to be working. Let me have a think. I think I'm going to go a gel medium. Rather than a glue. So it'll take a while to dry, but at least I know once it's on here it will be dry. So all I want to do is I want to keep this shape here. Now I will let this dry and then I will probably go underneath with some chipboard, and I mainly use the hardback envelopes rather than anywhere else. So I've got that one going there. Let's just put a little bit on there. Got that one going like that. And I'm just going to shape the card underneath. And then I've got that one going there. I need to go and visit a coffee outlet because I'm much better. So we've got that layer going like that. So we're just going to hold that. So that's now sitting there like that. So let's get this layer in place. And I'm going to do exactly the same. I can see where my pinhole is. And I'm just going to arch those over. Don't have to use gel medium. You could layer up with 3D foam pads. If you've got pin flare or something like that, you could use that instead. Because I've used a canvas and I've used the spray and stains, and knowing me, I will probably put some more bits on it. I just wanted to, the gel medium I know won't move. So we've just got that bit there going there. And then I want to do this one here. Oh, thank you, Irene. My crafting changes, Irene, though, depending on what I'm doing. I can be really quite a mess. Or I'm a clean messy before Charmaine gets on here and says something different. Right, so I've got these layers going like this. And then what I want to do is I just want to add a few other layers onto the bottom part here. And then I'm hoping in my head how this was going to work. It will look as I wanted it to look in my head. Let's go for, I don't know, let's go for that one. Right, there we go. So that's now going to sit there on the top like that. Like I said, the gel medium will dry. And then I've done exactly the same this side. So all I've done is I've taken the layer and because I've cut them in different colour card, like Noreen said, they look like feathers. So you could use the circles and create like a bird body. And suddenly it changes again. And then I've got some others left over to do some other projects with. So I've just got that going like that. I might add another one. But what I want to do first of all is, so this is the one, and because it's gel medium then, I can sort this out in a minute. So this is the one that looks like the grape hyacinth. And I just, or it looks like a buddleia if you put all the smaller ones. And I've just cut it twice because I want to fold it over on top of each other. Do you know, I think I chose the worst spatula in the world to use to do this because I wasn't concentrating. Let's get my lid rather than keep sticking it in there because I'm getting more on me than I am on my project. All right, let's put you there. And I'm just going to put these together. And I'm just going to give them a couple of seconds to just stick together. I just want this top part to stick, so I'm just going to put that there. And then I've just cut some, I found some shock horror, Charmaine, mirror card, which is unusual for me. I'm not a mirror card person. It's because it's not how I use in my style of crafting. But I think, you know, there's a time and a place for absolutely everything. So I just want to put, where's my pokey tool? Okay, we've just got that there. Right, you stick down. That's it. Brilliant. And I've just got another bit here. And I just want to lift that up really gently. Because obviously when you use gel medium, it does take just that little bit longer to dry. It could be a tree in the distance. Yeah, they could be. You could be, you know, brown with the leaves. You could have, you know, you could make this so many different things. And that's what's really good about the dyes and the name Alter Me, because you alter them or by using to suit your style of crafting, whether that's clean, simple, or whether it's pretty, grungy, mixed media. And that's where the dyes work brilliantly, because they work for all of us in the way that we want them to work, as such sort of thing, because we'll all see a different pattern. All right, so I'm just going to put a little bit more gel medium. You could, like I said, if you've got pin flare, use pin flare. I just want to slide that underneath there. So I've just got that built up. We've got that going like that, right? I did extra because I didn't know whether I wanted to add or make things bigger. Now what I want to do is I'm going to fold this roughly in half, and I want to leave half open. I don't want it fully closed because I want these bits to go and move. And I'm going to shape it a little bit, because what I want it to suddenly be is the start of a butterfly's body. If that makes, can you see? So if I shape it, and that's what I'm doing it very gently, I can then mould it and hold it in place so it suddenly becomes the shape of a butterfly's body. In my head, that's what it's meant to be, sort of thing. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a shape. And this now, I need to let this dry properly, and then I can go back in and restart reshaping things. So I'm just going to make that a little bit curved. And I can bring that. So this is using like the hyacinthy, I keep saying budlery, or whatever you want it to be. So I want to move that slightly over like that. So I want it to come down, but to be round. And I'm going to grab, where are you? There you are. And I'm just going to hold it in place with my pins for the moment. And I'm just going to scoot that bit around like that. We've got that bit going there, and I'm just going to use my pins. So don't forget the white will dry clear. And then the tails from the two flowers suddenly becomes the antennae for the actual butterfly. If that makes, if you can see where I'm trying to go with this. Okay, so I just wanted to do, let's put the lid on the gel medium before I lose what I've got from there. Hi Mary, how are you? So now, suddenly, what I will do is, as the gel medium is drying, I will make this bend slowly, bit by bit by bit. And I'll probably get another pin, if I'm honest, and make it bend just around just a little bit more and stand up just a little more. So now, using the leaves, I've created the back of a butterfly, using them in a totally different way. I would build up here, and which I'll do, but I need this bit to dry so I can then add all my other layers on top, or it could be a dragonfly. I might even add another piece of black. Now, because it's now gel medium, I can now, if I very carefully, I can scoot this little bit around a little bit more and move the wings, because I've used the gel medium. And this now looks a little bit more attached to the body. And like I said, I would probably, because we've got the smaller ones, I would extend the body down just a little bit more, because I can use the smaller matching die from the ribbon tags, that one there, and I can bring it out. I could even use these ones to go over the top and become the antennae of an actual butterfly. So from that one there, when you do it from, I just want to show you, where are you, where are you, where are you? I will find you, aha. So doing exactly the same concept in the pinks and making it a butterfly, I've done it in the oranges and yellows, and it's exactly the same idea, but all I've done is made it look like, I wanted to keep it as look like leaves, but changing the colours and the layout. Well, it's a similar sort of layout. You can get a totally different look, and that's where, you know, everything works with the dies. I'll probably put another piece underneath there, but I can build that up. I do need to let it dry now, and I will work on this. So, you know, again, think of the different, they're just shapes, and how you would layer the shapes to create the different styles you like, if that makes sense. Yeah? Right, okay. Let's put you back before I lose you. Now, I do have one more prepped. I appreciate I've been on for an hour and you've listened to me gabble on for an hour. Do you want me to do that one, or do you want me to save it for another day? I'll let the comments catch up. So, I'm just going to clean my spatula. Normally, I just wait till it dries and peel off the gel medium off the spatulas. That is quite satisfying, I must admit. So we've got, there we go. Let's move the gel medium. Yes, please carry on. Okay, so like I said, I will let this dry and I will build on it. And this one could be just a simple sentiment, but I will carry the body round and let the body build up. But I do need to be patient and let it dry. Patient isn't always my strong spot. So let's put you somewhere safe. Right, okay, so like I said, I've got lots of bits prepped. Oh, let's put you down there. Because I wanted to be able to do lots of different things and show lots of different techniques with everything. I have die cut and prepped a lot of things. I know for some people who say that when you see demonstrators have things pre-done, oh, does that mean that the dies are hard work? It's not, it's so we can try and show you. Oh, Irene, that's lovely, thank you. Sorry, had to shout. But it's so us, the demonstrators in us can, you know, show as many ideas as we possibly can in the time we've got. And Selly Telly, for the best will in the world, doesn't always afford us the time, as much time as we would like, if that makes sense. Right, so I have done some of this gone ahead of time because I needed it to be dry. Right, let's just, I'm having an argument with it. And all I've done is I've taken the circles, if I hope you can see, and I know it's white on white, which is a bit of a pain to see. So I've just taken the circles and I've just stuck them down, and I needed them to be dry because I want to create like an ombre effect. And I want to start off, and I'm going to use greens. And I need one more green, which I thought I'd got out and I hadn't. Let's go for, I'm going to go for Mowed Lawn, and then I'm going to swap peel paint for Rustic Wilderness. Look at me being all woohoo. And what I want to do is I want to create myself a pattern background, but it is textual. So I'm just going to build up with some of the greens we've got here. And so I'm going to start with the Rustic Wilderness. Sorry, I'm just looking for my tissue to clean off in between, and I put it away. So I'll just grab that out. There we go. And I just want to start, and I'm going to slowly build up the colour bit by bit. Now, I know for some people blending, I'm going to be honest, some card will always blend better than others. That might mean that you have to go over things a little bit more than you would like, but you will get a blend. If you're using something that's going to be in the background, then it doesn't really matter as much. I'm going to knock off a bit of that. There we go. So I'm just going to go, if I move my paint nearer to, ink pad nearer to me. So what I want to do is I want to colour my die cuts, but I want to have a coloured background as well. So it looks like I've got highs and natural lows in the card. And this is probably going to be longer than I actually need, the panel wise, but I would rather do that and cut things down than I would, you know, try and stick things on, if that makes sense. I'm just going to go back with the Rustic Wilderness now and just darken down in places. So you can see from there. Now, the little splodges you see and on there is where I've rushed and it's glue. Do you know? Does it matter? No, not at all. Right, so I'm just going to gradually build up. I just go in my head now, those become the bits that I would have sprayed with water with an oxide to create the natural bleaching effect. In my head, anyhow. That's how I treat it. The way I have my ink stored. Oh, some of it is to please me, I have to be honest, Carol. But the other part of it is, when you're demoing, it's nice to have your inks stored in different, in their relevant colour families as such. Being honest, I store most of my things in colour families. I just find it quicker to create if I'm not having to look for everything. Right, so I'm just going to build up a little bit more of the colour. And I've drawn it, and it does look like an awful big green mess. Like the Hulk's come to visit, and I don't know what he's done on the page, but he's done something. Right, I promise it will look better. It looks like a big hot mess. I'm just watching it on the thing there. I just want to add now a little bit of the mustard seed, but not with the green. I want to grab my mixing brush. There we go. And I just want to bring in a little touch of the yellow. And the yellow will lighten places. Okay. Right, so I've just got that going there. Now I know that looks like a really hot mess, but I promise it will be turned into something. So I'm just going to put that to one side because I do need the oxides to dry just a little bit before I do the next bit. I'm not the only one. Now, that's one of the reasons, that's probably one of the why I keep everything in colour families. It just works for me. Just works for me. Now, this is, if I lift it up here. So all I've done here is, these are the two dies we get. So one will come in the Frame It die, which is the circles. And the flower one, I think off the top of my head, is in Pretty Flowers. Yes, it is. And I've just put them through the die cutting machine multiple times, and I've created myself a background. Now, I didn't know whether I wanted to use the background like that, and then once I explain what I'm going to do with these, and put this part to go on the top, or I want to use it as a stencil. And I think I'm going to go for it being a stencil. That's in my head. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do with it. And I will keep it. So I'm just going to do as I would do with a normal stencil. And just build up in different places. So your dies can be stencils. Also, have you noticed that I've changed the colour of the darkness now by putting the oxides on the top? So it's a great way using, especially if you use an oxide, to lighten a dark piece of card. Okay. So now I've got, let's just put a little bit up there. There we go. So now I've got a background and a really nice little ditzy background using that part there. This I'll keep and probably use as a stencil, or it'll become a background at some point, but we'll keep that going for the moment. So let's put you, and I'll let you dry a bit. Lid on. And I've cut the die that comes from the ribbon. Okay, top tip, don't shape yours before you're going to use it, because it doesn't work. Because now I wanted mine to be flat. So I didn't know whether I wanted to work from a coloured piece of card or a white. But I'm actually going to use a little bit of both. But before I do that, I want to create some of the flowers. So I'm going to use similar colours. I'm sticking to similar colours because rather than keep ferreting around for different ink pads, if I've got them out, I might as well use them. So we've got those there. We've got a bit of yellow going on. There we go. I'm going to do that there, and let's grab, like I said, my favourite one at the moment, is the abandoned coral. I'm loving the abandoned coral. Now, what I want to do with the abandoned coral is I'm going to colour these. Now, these are the ones that I've just pulled the stems away that would cut into the card, and I've just taken the heads of them because I want to use the actual heads. I think I might get the orange out as well in a moment. So I'm just going to colour a little bit of it. As I said, for me, colouring white die cuts, I just find it easier. We're all different. And then I don't have to worry about matching cardstock, but we're all different, as I said. So we've just got a bit there. Right, I'm going to actually grab an orange, grab the spice marmalade. And I just want to bring in a little bit of the spice marmalade. So, and the same here. Oh, loving the colours on that mat. It's going to seem such a waste to clean them up, but... And then I just want to, just at the bottom, I'm just tapping the brush so I get like a texture from it. Right, let's be good and tidy up, and I can clean my fingers at the same time. As I said, normally I would be making backgrounds out of this, but for speed I won't. Good night, Joan. Thanks for your company. Right, so we've got that there. Oh, I'm loving that as well. Cool. Sorry, different tangent. Right, so we've got these here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to cut off the flower head. So I'm just going to, I can trim away the excess in a moment, but let's just trim them off at the moment. And we've got those there. And then I can put them on the top here. So all I'm doing is sort of working out which one goes where, but I can always juggle them around. It doesn't really matter. And there we go. And then the little one there. So I could have coloured the white die cut green, but as I had one cut in green, I might as well leave it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on there. Now I'm probably going to pull these apart, but I'm going to make everything whilst they're all joined together, because I think that probably would be easier. Is that one? Yeah. I've got that one sitting there. That's what I said, don't do what I did and shape your dies before you need them, because now when I want them to sit flat, because I sat there and shaped them, they won't sit flat. There was being good and prepping ahead, and then that was probably a step too far. Right, so I've got those like that. So I've just now, I've just created like these are going to be the centres of my flowers. So I'm just going to take these ones here, and I'm just going to cut that excess where the tail was off. So these are the die cuts that create flowers that the bottoms don't come away. You can just snip them away and stand tall. And I thought they made really good frills of flowers. So what I want to do is I actually want to thread it so it goes through that die cut there. And I just want to put a little bit of glue on the back. I'm just going to hold it in place. And now I've created like a frill on the top flower. So now it's got a totally different look to it. I'm going to do that to the slightly larger ones, each of the slightly larger ones. So we've got that there. Okay. I'll stick that down, and then I've got that one there. So I'm just extending the flower. So I mean, I could easily have done this with that lovely daisy die and cut it in half, but I just wanted to try and show as many different ways with all the die cuts as possible. So as you can see, so now, oh, if I lift that up, you can see, so now that needs to actually look, I need to actually glue them in place, Louise, and leave them alone. I'm telling myself off now. Right, let's stick you guys down and hold you in place. Right, now let's try and lift you up without dropping you. So now you can see where I've got the circles and I've got those trees there. So they change the look and how they come. Echinacea. Oh, that's a... Yes, it does, doesn't it? So now you've got a different way that way. So what I wanted to do then is do something with the other flowers totally slightly different. So I'm going to cut these. So I have 3 petals and 2 petals. So we do that way. And it doesn't matter which way you do it. It really doesn't. And I am going to just grab a shaping tool. I keep one side clean and one side where I've done my inking. And I just quickly just shape those. And that's about as technical as I get, I'm afraid. Normally, I'm being really good. Normally, I use my hand and like in the ball of in your hand, and then I start moaning about why my hand aches. Yeah, Alison, I had that on a live the other day as well. I find it's worse if I use my phone to watch a live or my tablet at the moment. If I watch on my PC, it seems to be okay, but I can't really drag my PC around the house. Let's shut those scissors, otherwise that will bug me. And all I want to do is I just want to create 2 of the petals up and 1 down. And I'm just going to... put that one so it goes like that. This is where okay, and they're going to, and then this one is going to sit on top in between the gap. So now we've got another different type of looking at the plants, looking at the flowers. Now I've done mine quite colour coordinated. You could do yours quite, if you were cutting it from lots of different colour cardstock, it would look different. If you'd done the centre with gold, it would look different again. So they're now going on there. So now we've got another type of flower that's sitting in there. There we go. And depending on how high up you do this with the die cut, changes the look again of how it looks. Right, okay. So I'm just going to hold that for a moment. I'm just going to put the lid on my glue like that. So let's see if I can lift it up. So now we can create some totally different sort of flowers by layering the different flowers on top of each other. Again, you can change. Oh, a black centre. That would be a cool idea, Louisa. Yeah. That would be really good. It looks like a planet now a little bit as well with that bit there. So you can change the look of how each of them look. So I'm just going to let them dry to one piece. And I'm going to go grab this background here. And it's a little bit dry. I think I might just give it a quick blast. We've got... Now, if a background like this is now a little bit OTT, splat it with some different colours. So if I grab, I'm just going to grab the Speed, some of my pen touch pens that I've got here, just so I can, I could do that one, that would be okay. I'm shaping it up now. So, if you've got a Posca would work just as well. So you could, or you could use use white paint and water it down. I've got that one there. Oh, I've got a really cool fluorescent one. I won't use a fluorescent. Step away from the fluorescent. Going to do 1 or 2 of the bronze, not too many. Oh, I'm going to do what Neil told me to do. Always turn your background, well, don't drop your pen nib for starters, that would be really cool. Oh, clean my fingers. Otherwise, if I don't clean those now, they'll be stained for ages. So, So I've got a little bit of the bronze. And then finally, let's just do a little bit of the gold shimmer. And there we go. I'll keep that out because I might put some on the flowers actually. Now I've done that, I quite like that. Let's clear you up. So suddenly now, where you've added little bits of shimmer and the white, what you didn't like, suddenly can take a different look. I'm just going to have to quickly dry this again. And they won't take long to dry. The longest probably one will be the shimmer. So let's dry both sides. Okay. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to take different parts of my background and I'm going to trim it all down in one go so all the edges are the same to start with. So I've got rid of those bits. Any other things hanging over this side, yeah, just a little. There we go. And I'm going to make this one. I've got that one there. So let's make this one. I'm just keeping them in their rough shape. And let's do this one slightly bigger. We'll do this one. Let's make it thinner. And I can keep those bits if I want to. I'm just going to keep them for the moment, just in case I want them. So now, where I had that darker background, I've suddenly got panels that can sit on my card. And they're textured straight away. So where that might have seemed really dark and overwhelming in one go, suddenly changes the way it looks now altogether on your card. So you've now got a different sort of background. Splattering a shimmer pen. I don't need them, I don't need... Well, I have to be honest, Noreen, when... I'm going to be honest and say, when Charmaine said to me, oh, would you like to have a play with X, Y, Z? And I went, yeah, okay. And I was like, will I be able to use them, won't I? And, you know, and like I said, I always cut from white, so I don't know if that helps. And I'm sorry, I'm just cutting some 3D foam. And I just went, And I've actually found, and I haven't had the longest time in the world, but I think if I had longer, I think I could find lots of other ways of using them in totally different ways as well. Right, there we go. I'm just going to do some... So what I want to do is I want to decide which ones I'm going to have raised and which ones I'm going to keep flat. And I quite like the idea of this one being slightly raised. Now I can add more 3D foam. It's harder to take it away. You could as well, if have I got a piece of white card? Yeah. Suddenly things look different if I put it again on white card and then put white card on top of the background. It can make it look a little bit lighter. So it can look totally different again. So raising things up and down and rematching and layering can totally change the way something looks. So I'm just going to put that one there. I'm going to raise that. I think I'm going to raise that one And I might, let's just raise, no, let's keep that one flat. Sorry, this is where you do lose me. This to me is the favourite part of crafting. This is where I faff. This is where I go, oh, shall I put that there, shan't I? And this is how I would I do craft myself, sort of thing. So I've got that there. And then I'm going to use that one. And we'll raise that one. Like so. And I don't want it to be identical, but I want it, so I want a staggered look. If you've got a ruler, you could keep them a little bit more precise. Let's put that one there. I want this one flat. And I'm eyeballing the gap. If you want to be a bit more precise, you know, get your mat or a ruler out. And we'll have this one flat, and I'm going to have it so it goes over there. Let's move you out the way. So now I've created a background, and it looks totally different to the way I've started, with the way some being layered and some being flat. And then what I want to do is I want to take some of the flowers, and I'm just going to chop them down and work out what I want to put together. And let's chop you down a little bit here. And oh, I'm just going to put a bit of glue there. You won't see it at the moment. I want to grab some foam pads and just put this on the back. You can. No, it's true though. I am dreadful for the faff. But it is my favourite part of the crafting. I'm going to be honest. I think it's because you're using someone else's products to create, you know, the item you want, and then suddenly the composition, this part is about you and all about where your eye wants to place things. And I think that is the favourite part for me. And then I've got those going to go there, so let's put some foam pads on those. As I said, I can always add more. If I took a little bit more time, I would put glue on these foam pads because they're going on quite a thick layer of oxide there. We've got that one going. I'm just going to put that in the same glue spot. So that now is going there. And I've cut some of the green leaves. And I'm going to cut some of these down. And I must admit, that's one thing. When I started using die cuts years ago, or when I first started using it, I would never think of cutting down a die. I'd buy it, and because it was given to me in that sort of set format, I'd think, right, I've got to use it that way. And it's taken confidence, you know, to actually get there and do it. But now I'll sit there and tear them into lots of different pieces. So we've got that there. And I'm keeping this quite tonal. I'm just putting a little bit of the leaves like that. And then I've got the other flowers, which I'm going to bring up here. Or am I going to... Let me have a think. I'm going to change my plan now. I was going to stagger these. No, I'm going to keep them all roughly together, I think. There we go. Put some there. I normally, Louisa, I'll put glue on. Probably after this live, I'll pull them off and just put a little bit of glue on. Just to make sure they definitely stay put. So that one's going to go and bend round. And we'll have that one bending round there. And I've got one left, which I'm going to actually bring so it goes there. There's foam pads. How can you lose the foam pads? You've got so many of them. Right, there we go, stop. And that one I'm going to tear down. And there's a big dollop of glue there, so I've got that, and I'm going to tuck that one so it just goes underneath a little bit like that. And I've got some more of the leaves. Now what I will do is probably cut some leaves in a lighter green, or actually from this one here, because everything is a little bit darker at the moment, but I wanted to keep things as tonal as possible. I'll lift it up in a moment. And okay, I need to put this back in its lid so it's upside down and the glue's it's getting towards the end. So I'm just going to put that so it's going along there. Right, so let's move that there. And then, where's that? Oh, it's water. I'm trying to think, where's that come from? And then what I would do from here is I would then add a sentiment, and on the top here I would add some gems. So I'm just going to grab a quick, a biggish sentiment if I can find one. That's too big, but that's probably a little bit better. Probably a little bit too big. Let's just try and cut this down. Scissors. It's not like I use the smallest scissors in the world either. And I'm just going to cut around this quickly. So I've gone quiet while I'm concentrating on my cutting. And now I've got that there. So this is where my sentiment is actually going to go. I won't use that one. And what I would do then is I'm just going to grab a few gems. I'm not going to do many, just to show you what I mean. Grab them in my hand. So if I will stick all these down properly. So now on these bits here, I would add a few gems in different sizes on the panel, just to tie in a little bit more around the panel. Put you in the bin. So that is, and I'm probably going to, once these are dry, trim my card down. So there's the same gap here at the top there. And I think I'm going to trim it down and do it that way, my card blank. So that was just trying to show, you know, using the dies to create panels, change the way it looks, and create a different sort of flowers with them. And you can change, you know, the same as anything, depending on the colour you use, you can change it. I am going to add just a little bit of shimmer to the bottom here, because if I'm letting everything dry before I chop it down, I might as well do the shimmer. And because it's water reactive, the oxide, and this is, that will blend that out as well. So that, I've used the same colours because obviously I didn't want to keep rummaging around for inks. So it's, so using similar colours, you can create a different sort of drama straight away by using the same sort of dies, you know, and it changes it again. Or by die cutting with colours and just doing a little bit of a different in the composition, you can then change the look totally again, and how you want to see. Oh, this is nearly dry. I can add another piece soon. Oh, good. But, you know, you can suddenly change, and it is using the same dies. Let's move you over. Move the glue and oxides. So you can suddenly change how everything, you know, looks in one go. So I hope that gives you some ideas, you know, some of the fun things you can do with the die sets, and actually how easy they are to create with it. You know, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just let the shapes talk to you, or go for the shape that talks to you the most, and then work from there, and get more complicated or less complicated, you know, whatever way you want to do. So I'll never look at my dies the same again. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Oh, thank you, Rianne. That's lovely. Thanks, Irene. But it's looking at the shapes and how the shape speaks to you, if that makes sense. It's no different to looking at a stamp, and one stamp I might colour pink, you might colour blue, but that's the way, and it's looking at your projects that way. So as I said, so it's tomorrow. Charmaine's launching these at 4 and 8 p.m. and you know it works in different ways. So I'm just going to show you. So that, you know, it's just showing. That's wet, so I don't mind. It's only the back of the card. So again, I'm just going to put them all out here so you can see. There is so many different ways and different types of colours. I'm trying to avoid the butterfly that you can use, you know, the dies for. And I've actually had an absolute blast. And as I said, I don't think I've discovered half the ways that you could use. So I'm just going to keep filing them out here on the top. As I said, you know, so that one there, when you consider it's the same sort of technique, but change it. And then that's my memory book. And using them again, sort of thing. So as I said, I could carry on playing and probably think of loads more different ideas at the end of the day. So thank you ever so much. I've kept you for such a long time. Thank you ever so much for your patience. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow to Charmaine. And obviously Charmaine's got her take on it, and she's going to be mixing stamps in with hers. So then they'll look totally different again, and alter them again and take them up another notch. Take care, everyone, and thank you ever so much for your company on a Sunday night. The peachy one looks a bit festive. Oh, no, please don't say the C word. Oh, no. 23rd of December is soon enough for me. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks ever so much. Bye.